Good morning and welcome to another ETOA webinar in our digital education series. My name is Rachel Reed and I would like to welcome all our attendees today. We are going to be speaking today about going mobile, the future of travel itineraries, and I'm very pleased to have Tim Russell of Open Destinations with us today, and he will be covering the majority of the webinar. He's going to tell us about new developments in itinerary planning, as well as speaking about a solution that Open Destinations have created to help drive this forward. Just before I hand over to Tim, there are a couple of housekeeping points. Firstly, you can ask questions at any point during the webinar by using the facility on your screen, and at the end of Tim's presentation there'll be time to cover those questions. But don't worry, if we don't get time to cover them, Tim is happy to respond to you personally by email after the session. Secondly, we are recording the webinar, so don't worry if you don't catch everything that's covered in the presentation. We'll send you the link shortly after the session has finished. So, without further ado, I am happy to hand over to Tim Russell.
Thanks, Rachel. Good afternoon, everybody, or good morning, depending on where you are in the world. It's afternoon where I am in Bangkok. It's about 5 p.m. So thanks, as Rachel said, thanks for joining us. My name is Tim Russell. I've been in the travel industry now since 1992, so a long time. I was an original member of the Open Destinations team in 2000 to 2003. Then I moved to Vietnam in 2003, and I've been in Southeast Asia ever since, nearly 16 years. I've been in Bangkok for the last 6 years. A couple of years ago, I founded a mobile travel solution called Itineraries, and then last year we were acquired by Open Destinations. So I've been back in the Open Destinations fold since last year. If you don't know Open Destinations, just a quick introduction to the company. We're a leading travel technology specialist based in London, and with offices in London, Goa, Munich and Bangkok, and we've got over 450 employees spread across those 4 offices. We have a complete suite of software solutions for tour operators for reservations, operations and web-based selling, including Travel Studio, which is our ERP solution for large tour operators, and Travel Builder, which is our solution for smaller, medium-sized tour operators, and Itinerary, which is the next generation of travel solutions and mobile solution for travel providers as well. And we also do professional development services, just business process outsourcing and development services for travel companies to help them build and integrate applications to integrate with a variety of products and services. So that's just a quick introduction to Open Destinations, and you can find out more on our website at opendestinations.com. So what are we going to be talking about today? Let's have a look at the agenda. So we're going to begin by talking about the need for mobile, why tour operators and travel companies should be thinking about going mobile, how travel is changing and how going mobile can help you address that. What your concerns are, so how going mobile affects you, how this new age of travelers affects your business. We're going to look at mobile capabilities and opportunities, so how going mobile can help you grow your business. We're going to look at adaptation and adoption, so how to choose the right mobile solution and how to get your clients to use it. And then at the end, as Rachel said, we'll be having a Q&A session if you've got any questions. So as Rachel said, if you've got questions, you can ask them at any time during my presentation. Just type them into the chat window, and then Rachel will collate them all and ask the best ones at the end. So let's begin. So the first section, the need for mobile. Why should tour operators and travel companies start thinking about having a mobile presence? We're in a new age of travel now. There's a new age of travel and traveller. People are travelling further than ever, where British people, for example, would once take package holidays to Spain or just hop across the Channel to France. Now they're more likely to be going to Florida or Thailand or the Caribbean. And the rise of budget airlines has made it possible and affordable people to do several trips per year. And the trips that people take are a lot more complex and multifaceted than they once were. People are taking multi-destination holidays here in Southeast Asia. People don't just come over and visit one country, they'll come over and they'll visit Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, Thailand on the same trip. And when people travel, they're not just sitting on the beach or doing a simple sightseeing itinerary like they did before. They're engaging in various activities, booking activities with multiple providers. So they might book with a tour operator, but when they're in the destination, they might do additional trips through people like Viator or Airbnb Experiences, Get My Guide, and so on. There's a resurgence of package holidays as well. It seems counterintuitive, but younger travelers now are using travel agents. The use of travel agents is actually on the rise amongst the millennial sector. And I don't like this word, but there's the rise of leisure, business and leisure. So people taking business trips and then adding on 2 or 3 days leisure time and holiday at the end. There's an interesting stat here that by 2025, so in what, 7 years time, millennials, people who are millennials now and younger generations will account for 75% of all consumers and travelers. So that means that by 2025, millennials will be 44 and under, and that generation will make up 75% of all travelers. And this is a generation that's not just grown up with the internet, but most of them have grown up with smartphones. And it's through their smartphones that they live their lives and view the world. So you've got to make sure that you have a presence on that medium. A few more stats here. I'm just going to hide that. 92% of us carry a mobile device when we travel, even older travelers. So it's not just millennials who are traveling with smartphones, it's pretty much everybody. And millennials, 74% of them actually search for travel-related information on their mobile devices. So they don't just use them when they travel, they're using them at the research stage, they're using them at the booking stage. And a similar number also have travel apps on their mobiles. So you're not going to have much trouble getting those people to adopt your travel app because they're well used to downloading and using travel apps when they travel. Oops. So let's look at tour operator concerns. Let's look at how this new generation of mobile travelers is affecting your business and what your concern should be. Firstly, business processes. How does mobile affect your business processes? What changes do you need to make to the way you work? And how are these changes going to disrupt your day-to-day operations? Another issue is business intelligence. How can mobile help you learn more about customer behavior and supplier performance? How can you get actionable data and useful takeaways that you can apply to product development and customer service in future? The big issue, of course, for travel companies is customer safety. How can you use mobile to help you keep your customers safe and secure when they're traveling and help you deal with any emergencies or things like natural disasters, earthquakes, volcanoes, storms, and so on when they occur? And of course, customer satisfaction. How can you use mobile not just to satisfy your customers, but to delight them, to wow them, and use mobile to get frequent feedback on their satisfaction levels and improve customer retention and get more repeat business out of them? Ultimately, how can mobile help business growth? That's what we're all interested in. So how can mobile help you continue to grow your business? Now, the great thing about going mobile is it's not just a back-end solution that your travelers never see. It's something that your travelers are going to see. So going mobile can obviously benefit you because you're getting your brand out there, and it's an easy way for you to communicate and send out itineraries and documents to your clients. But it also benefits the end traveler as well, because it's a lot more convenient for them to use an app than it is to carry lots of paper around. So of course, anything that benefits you and benefits your clients can only lead to business growth. So let's move on to the next section, and that's mobile opportunities. What opportunities for improving your business does mobile give us? How can a mobile presence help you improve the way you do business? Well, the first, one of the obvious ones is branding. Having a mobile app means you can put your branding, your images, and your logo on a stylish white label app, and you can also procure a DMC. You can also provide your partners and your travel agents with a branded app as well. So having your own app out there in the App Store and the Play Store makes you look very professional, very contemporary, very modern. And of course, mobile helps you issue your travel itineraries in a very convenient and efficient way. You can easily tell your clients what they're doing, where they're doing it, and when they're doing it. All that information is on their phone. It's paper-free, so it's environmentally friendly. That's a big concern for a lot of particularly younger travelers these days. And it also means people don't have to travel around stacks of paper with them. You can make changes immediately. So if you make a change in the back end of the app, it will automatically update the itinerary on the traveler's phone, so you don't have to go reprinting PDFs and sending out new sets of documents every time you have changes. And there's the issue of version control as well, so that everybody is looking at the same itinerary. You don't have a guide or a traveler out there with an old version of the itinerary while you're sitting looking at a new one in the office. Everyone's looking at the same version of the itinerary. So you don't have lots of different versions flying around out there and causing confusion. And one of the big advantages, of course, with having your own mobile app for your clients is communication. You can message your clients instantly before and after the trip, but of course during the trip as well, when sometimes it can be difficult for travel providers to keep in touch with their clients. You can message them during the trip so they know that you're always just an instant message away. You can set up special chats for tour groups. People traveling on a seat on bus group can message their fellow travelers before they travel and get to know them. If you've got a big MICE group, for example, you can easily message hundreds and hundreds, even thousands of people at once via a mobile app. You can do real-time customer support, so your customers always know that you're there and listening. And you can send out alerts and notifications. So if there's some urgent news, say for example, there's a natural disaster in a particular country, you need to message lots of people in that country immediately. You can do that. And you can schedule messages as well, and you can send clients things like birthday messages and little reminders and so on, just to give it that little personal touch. A mobile app allows you to upload details for all the contacts that people will have on the trip. So you can have phone numbers and contact details for things like transfer drivers, hotel receptionists, your head office, and an emergency hotline as well if people need that. Mobile app allows you to keep all the travel documents in one place. So you can store all the client's documents, such as scans of their passports, flight tickets, hotel vouchers, insurance documents, visa documents, and so on. They can all be stored in one place in the app. So they've got easy access to all the documents that they need. Destination information is another important feature in a mobile app. You can offer in useful features such as weather forecasting, currency conversion, language, maps. And you can also use an app to pull in third-party destination content from third-party sites such as TripAdvisor or Lonely Planet or Fodor and so on. Feedback, of course, is a very important issue. Gathering client feedback is something that most travel providers do. Most people leave it to the end of the tour, but having a mobile app means you can start gathering customer feedback as soon as their trip starts. So you can identify issues or difficult customers before they become problems. So if you know on day one of the trip that things aren't going so well, you can jump on it straight away before it snowballs into a big issue and you have to pay refunds to people. And you can analyze, this is where the business intelligence part comes in that we mentioned, that we touched upon earlier. Having a mobile app generates a lot of data and a lot of feedback, performance of different suppliers, so you can see which of your hotels are the most popular, which of your guides are the most popular, which restaurants you're using that aren't so popular, so you can use that information to tweak future tours, use it for your product development. And of course, upselling. Everybody wants to get as much revenue as they can from their customers, and a mobile app allows you to offer additional products, to sell extra excursions, to sell upgrades before or during the trip, and it allows clients to easily book extra services and pay via the app, so that you're using the app not just as a content delivery and communication tool, you're also using it to generate extra revenue from the trip. So those are the advantages of having an app. Now let's look at choosing an app, and most importantly, how to make sure that your clients actually use it. So what things should you be looking at when you're looking at the available mobile solutions that are out there? What should you be considering? Well, first of all, any app that you choose should be white labelable, so you should be able to completely rebrand it with your branding, so in your color scheme, with your logo. And if you're a DMC or you work with partners, you should also be able to put your partner and your agent's branding on there as well. Any solution you choose should be able to integrate with your existing systems via API or a similar method, so that you can minimize the additional workloads. You're not having to ask your staff to enter data twice. It should be easy to import data from your existing systems or other sources. It should be stylish. It should look good, of course. It should look professional, look slick. And it should also be intuitive. So we talked about millennials earlier, but obviously older people are going to be using this as well. People who are maybe less tech savvy. So it should be intuitive for them. It should be very easy for them to use without you having to give them lots of instruction or training. It should have the widest possible breadth of features and functionality, and also equally importantly, the ability to turn off features that you don't need, that you don't use. It should be affordable, cost effective. Look at it from a cost per traveler basis. How much is it costing you for each trip to use the mobile app? And it should be provided by an established and reputable provider, a company with a track record. And it should also be future-proof, so you know that the company who's making it isn't going to disappear in 6 months' time and stop developing and supporting the product and leaving you with a product that you've invested in and that you can't use anymore. Obviously, a very, very important aspect of going mobile is user adoption. You want to make sure that as many of your clients as possible are using your app so that you're getting maximum value from it. How can you do that? Well, the first one is early notice. Let people know as soon as they book that you're going to be issuing your itineraries and your documents via a mobile app to get them used to the idea, and encourage them to download the app as early as possible before the trip. Stress the benefits of using the app. It's convenient, it's paper-free, they've got all their information in one place and you can communicate with them a lot more easily. Use welcome messages. Well, start chatting to them as soon as they log in. Send them a welcome message when they log into the trip, when they start the trip, so that they get into the habit of using the app as soon as they've installed it and as soon as they start traveling. Offer things like mobile-only specials. Say if you log into the app, we've got some vouchers in there for food discounts or hotel upgrades or discounts on future trips to incentivize them that way to use the app. And get a feedback loop going. Let them know that if they send you information or feedback, that you're going to feed back to them straight away, so they get used to having a conversation and they get used to using the app to communicate with you, and they know that you're just at the other end of the phone. So to summarize what we've said, we talked about the nature of travel changing, and the way people travel changing, the nature of travel is changing, and how millennials are going to dominate the travel market within the next decade, and what that means for the use of mobile, so that obviously it's increasingly important for your company to be on mobile. How mobile can assist your business growth. We talked about the various features and opportunities that having a mobile app gives you. We talked about choosing the right app for you, what things to look for. And we also talked about how to get your users to adopt the app and start using it. As Rachel said, you can ask questions now, or if you want to talk to us, you can email me on tim@opendestinations.com or visit our website, and we'll happily answer any questions or concerns that you may have about adopting a mobile app for your company.
Thank you very much for that, Tim. That was very interesting.
You're welcome.
Food for thought there. Yes, so as Tim mentioned, I'm going to go through some of the questions that have come in as he's been speaking, and we'll see how many we can cover off in the time remaining. Tim, can I kick off with this one, which I think is quite an important issue, and it's something that we discuss quite a bit here at ETOA, is somebody here said, I have got a bespoke back-end system that we've built ourselves, so it's not off the peg from a provider. And can I still integrate that with a mobile app, or is that going to cause me problems and I'm going to end up having to move my back-end system as well?
It shouldn't cause you problems, and provided your system can talk to our Itinerary API and to Itinerary to an API, and you can export data that way, then it's not a problem. No.
Oh, that's good to know.
So, your mobile solution provider would need to talk to your tech people and get an example of your system's output. But yes, it should be feasible. Most solutions should have an API that you can talk to.
Oh, okay. And on that note, actually, someone else is sort of looking at this from the opposite end, saying, if we wanted to build our own app, would you recommend that route?
Obviously, we're a little bit biased being a solution provider, so we would say no. It's best to leave building solutions like that to professionals. I mean, if you are going to build it yourself, you've either got to hire a full-time developer, and you're kind of dependent on them if they decide to leave the company, or you've got to hire a third-party development company. You're a little bit dependent on them. You know, we meet a lot of companies who are trying to build their own solutions or build their own mobile apps, and in many cases, it always takes longer than they think. It invariably costs more than they think, and often they get bogged down in development. If you buy an app from a third-party provider, you know that that's their job, that they're going to be there for a long time, and they're going to continue developing and improving the product. So I would advise anyone to leave it to the experts.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And actually, just I suppose moving on from that point about the extra work that these things can generate, I've got a question here that says, wouldn't all of this getting this data into the app create a lot of labor for the team, and should I kind of build that into my plan if I were to move to something like this?
Provided you've got an existing solution and your existing solution can talk to your mobile app, there shouldn't be much extra work involved. You know, once you fine-tune the integration process, you should be able to populate the app with your own bookings and your tour content at the push of a button.
And I'm just thinking about something as you were speaking there, Tim, is would they need a techie person in-house on their side to do that? Because some small companies just don't tend to have that. They outsource the IT provision. Mm-hmm.
Speaking about some of the clients that we've got clients who are quite small operations, don't have any tech people, and they manage perfectly well. Obviously, if you're a larger company, you're probably going to have that techie capability in-house anyway. So it certainly shouldn't involve you taking on extra staff, certainly not extra technical staff.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Let's see what else. We've got a question here from a DMC who says, we mainly sell to travel agents rather than directly to consumers.
Yep.
Is a mobile solution still a way forward for a DMC with that sort of a setup?
I would say so, yeah, because what you can do if you're a DMC, if you've chosen the right solution, is that solution should be able to rebrand the app with your travel agent's branding. So you're effectively providing your travel agent with extra value. Their end client gets an app that the travel agent can use to talk to their client while they're traveling. And if you're a DMC, you can offer additional services to those travelers while they're traveling. So it's also a way of making additional revenue during the trip as well. So I would say, yeah, there's definitely value in DMCs looking at going mobile.
Thank you. We've got somebody here, Tim, thinking about the users on the ground in destination. Is saying he's concerned about data and data roaming charges. Do the users need the internet when they're actually accessing this on their trip?
A good solution, most of the content should be available offline. Obviously, if you want to chat to people, you're going to need an internet connection. But in terms of reading accessing your itinerary, your documents, things like hotel information, maps, that content should generally be downloadable to your phone and therefore be available offline. And also, we find when we travel these days, you've got Wi-Fi in your hotel, you've got Wi-Fi in restaurants, you've even got Wi-Fi in vehicles these days. So even if you haven't got roaming, or even if you haven't got a local SIM, you're going to be online a lot of the time. So even on those occasions when you aren't online, the content should be available offline.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you. And again, here's another question thinking about the end users, saying I can certainly see that an app might be worthwhile downloading if, for one of the larger operators, say someone like Viator. But do you think it's reasonable to expect that a customer, a traveller, will download an app for every time he books with a different operator? Do you think that they would do it if they've just one tour booked with me? Would they want to download my app? I guess is the concern.
I think it's down to the tour operator to incentivize their clients to do it. We talked before about encouraging user adoption, offering them mobile benefits, for example. As a tour operator, it's in your interest to get them using the app, because then it's easier for you to get feedback from them. It's easier for you to track what they're doing and get usable data, usable information there. So I think it's in your interest to motivate them to do it. Personally, I would do it if I'd booked a tour with a tour operator and I knew they'd got a mobile app. Then I would definitely download it and use it. I would rather do that than carry around a paper itinerary or have to pull up the PDF every time I wanted to see what my itinerary was.
Yes, thank you.
Most people, like I said, 92% of people have smartphones, and I suspect most of them have got lots and lots of apps that they've downloaded on those smartphones. It takes 30 seconds to download and log into an app, so I don't think you're asking them to do anything particularly demanding.
Yes, I certainly would see that. That many things do have apps, and people just delete them and put them back again if they need.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and just on the technical side of that, Tim, someone's just asked here: does your app work with iOS and Android?
Our app does, and I would imagine that the vast majority of solutions out there would as well. Yeah. Mm. You're losing a big market if you ignore one of those.
Yes, thank you. Somebody asking here, I suppose a little bit with your sales hat on, Tim, asking about specifically the Itinerary app, what differentiates it, because it's quite a crowded market and there are many travel apps.
Sure.
Why would it be Itinerary?
Why would it be Itinerary? We think we've designed Itinerary with probably the best user interface in the marketplace. Thinking of the end client, we've tried to design it to be very, very intuitive so that anybody from the age of 10 to 100 can pick it up, look at it, and straight away use it. And we really specialize in people who want their own branded app, who want their app to look like it's their app and not a third-party app that they've bought from somebody else. So I would say certainly usability and the whole look and feel of the app as well is what sets us apart.
Thank you. And in fact, actually, there was a question at the beginning about that, again, related to the DMCs and this branding question. I guess we've answered it really. The question was, do they put their own branding on the app, or can they change it for the tour operator branding?
Yeah, I'm speaking personally about our own app. You have the option of using your own branding. You can put your travel agent branding on there, or you can co-brand it. You can have two brands on there as well. So there are multiple ways of doing it. And even within the same company, you might have companies who've got separate divisions who all have their own branding and might have their own separate logo. And your solutions should be able to handle that as well.
Oh, okay, good. I'm sure that's helpful. Somebody here thinking about how they support a mobile app like this, and it says if you have a live chat function, do you need staff 24/7 to answer those chats?
You shouldn't really have to change your current operational procedure. If you have someone who's manning a 24/7 emergency hotline, then they would do that via the app. If you don't have that facility, then you would probably turn it off in the app. and not offer it. So you shouldn't really change your work process. Have to change your work process in that way.
Okay, so it's an optional feature if
it's an optional feature. Yeah, I mean, I can't talk about other solutions, but in our solution, if there's something you don't want to use, you can just switch it off so that the end user doesn't see it.
Thank you. We've got somebody here thinking about other service providers as well, and they're saying, can guides and transport providers access the app?
Certainly, guides should be able to. Yeah, it's very, very important that the guide has access to the app, because the guide can use it to communicate with travelers. The guide's got the same itinerary view as the travelers as well. And tour operators can put their guide bios on there so the travelers can get to know more about their guide even before they travel. It would be possible to have transportation providers on there if you want them as well. You can certainly put transportation contact details on there, such as phone numbers and email addresses, to make it easier for your clients to contact. Things like transfer drivers and things like that if they need to.
Great. And then we've got somebody here thinking about GDPR, Tim. And they're wondering about the implications of using something like Itineraries for GDPR. Is it already compliant, or are they going to have to do their own due diligence?
Itineraries are already compliant, but yeah, people should always do their own due diligence as well. As a company, we are GDPR compliant, but as you would be seen as the app provider to your client, then you would need to make sure that you're GDPR compliant as well.
Yes, I think they were perhaps coming from the point of view of having to do an audit for all of your suppliers and providers, and if you're already compliant, that saves a piece of work. So that's good news. Well, I think, Tim, it looks like we've come to the end of the questions that have come in whilst you've been speaking.
Okay.
I think we've covered them all off. And is there a final word that you would like to have, Tim, before we close the session?
I'd just like to thank everybody for joining. I hope you found it useful. And as I said, if anybody wants to find out more, you can contact me on tim@opendestinations.com, or you can visit the Open Destinations website to find out more about Itinerary.
Well, thank you very much, Tim, and thank you all very much for listening today. Do please join us next time in our digital education series. We will let you know when the next webinar is planned. So thank you all, and good day.